Hi friends, it's Miss Emily. I'm here in my living room and I'm so excited because we get to do art today. So that makes my heart really happy. I know that you guys have been learning a little bit about abstract art, and I'm here today because I want to talk to you a little bit about one of my very favorite abstract art pieces, and that is Kandinsky's circles. So I have a little picture of that right here so you can see it. Okay? So now abstract art is something that when you look at it, maybe you think to yourself, what is that? It doesn't look like anything that I recognize. It doesn't look like a bowl of fruit, or it doesn't look like a lady in a ball gown. What is this? But then if you really look at it, you can see that abstract art is made up of lines and colors and shapes. And those lines and colors and shapes, when they work together, can make us have really big, wonderful feelings. So I want to take a look at this and just point out a couple of things to you. So there are vertical lines and there are horizontal lines, and there are these circle shapes, and there are also some square shapes in here. And when you put them all together, especially with these beautiful colors, it really makes something that's just so interesting to look at. I love this piece. So Kandinsky actually thought, and he was a little crazy, but he thought this, and I think it's kind of cool, that he could actually not just see colors, but he could hear them. Now, I've been listening to my crayons and my markers, and they don't really talk a whole lot. But I do know that when I put certain colors together in a certain way, that makes my heart feel really happy, and it gives me a really good feeling. So let's try and do something like that on our own today. So our inspiration is Kandinsky's circles, okay? And we are going to try and make our own circles today. So the first thing I'm going to do, oh, and just remember, this is a pretty simple activity. You can do it as simply as just crayons and paper, or you could add markers to it. You can use oil pastels. You can use watercolors. There's a whole lot of different ways that you can make this work. You can even use sidewalk chalk and take it outside, which is a really, really super fun way to sort of get this lesson across. So the first thing that I did was I took a piece of paper and I used my ruler and I marked it off into 4 sections. So instead of one big square piece of paper, I now have a square piece of paper with 1, 2, 3, 4 smaller squares. And inside those 4 smaller squares, we are going to put our circles, okay? So let me get out my trusty marker. And you can either start with big circles and work them into smaller circles, or you can start with a small circle and make it a bigger circle, okay? So let's try that together. We're going to do circles in all 4 of the squares, okay? So I'm actually going to start small for the first one. And circles can be hard to draw, but I think if you look at Kandinsky's piece here, you can see that none of those circles is a perfect circle. He did it all by himself without anything to trace or anything like that. So that's what we're going to do today. So I have my little circle, and then I've got another circle around that one, and then I'm going to put another circle around this one, and then another circle around this one, just like that. You see that? Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing on all the other squares. Okay? And remember, it's okay if they're not perfect straight circles or perfect circles. We kind of want them to be interesting. Maybe some of them will be a little bit bigger than others. I don't know, but that's kind of what we're going to do here, okay? So once we have all the circles, and you can go ahead and do the ones on the other 2, what I want to do now is I want to pick some really cool colors that speak to me and make my heart happy when I put them together. So I'm going to use markers for this, and I might even put in some oil pastels too, because I really like how that looks when it's together. So, and I want to remember too that I'm not just doing the circle part of the coloring in here, okay? I also want to make sure that I'm coloring in the background squares, okay? And we want to be careful to try, we can use some of the same colors, but not put them right next to each other, okay? So I'm going to start with this red. Now I was listening to it. Didn't really say anything to me, but I do know when I look at red, sometimes it feels like a powerful color to me. So I'm going to go ahead and use that beautiful, powerful red. I'm going to color in the middle right there, okay? All right, and then maybe next to that one, let me think real hard. What color do I think would look really cool? I think I'm going to go for this really, really pretty green color. And I'm going to put that one in the next circle, okay? Now, remember too, it's okay if you're not all in the lines, all right? I want you to take your time. Remember that art is never a race, and it's also never a contest. So we want to take our time and be mindful and do our very best, but also remember that the art that you make is special because you made it and it doesn't look like anyone else's, and that always makes me feel very proud of you. So now I'm going to add some purple here, because when I put purple next to that green, next to that red, whoo, it's kind of tickling my eyeballs. I really like that part. All right, so I'm just sort of taking my time and I'm coloring in each of the circles one by one, just like that, okay? And remember, you really do want to take your time with that, okay? And you can turn the paper if that makes it easier for you. Sometimes that's what I do. Just like that. Let's go around one more and finish up this purple. And then I'm going to try and figure out what color is going to make my eyeball tickly if I put it next to the purple. And you know what I think? I think I'm going to go for yellow. So I love yellow. It gives me a feeling of being bright and happy, and I like that so much. So you can see here that my circle is not just a circle, but it's very interesting now because we have all these amazing colors that are coming together, okay? So take your time, all right? Make sure that you're thorough. So pretty. Oh my goodness. Almost done there. Okay, so you can see that our first set of circles is just about finished there. But that's not the last thing that we want to do. Remember, we also have to do the background of that square. We want to make sure this whole thing is colored in, okay? So I'm just going to take my time here, and I'm going to color this in this beautiful shade of blue. And you can see that my colors, none of them are the same here. Now I might use these same colors over here, but maybe in a different order, because that's kind of exciting too. All right, so we're almost finished with our first one of our Kandinsky inspired circles. Now remember, you can do this just with crayons, with just markers. You can add all kinds of different materials to it. This is also fun as a paper activity, and it also really helps with fine motor if you're cutting out the circles and then laying them on top of each other. And I'll show you in just a second what I mean by that, because there's a pretty cool way to make that happen. All right, so you can see there that my first circle and my first square box are all finished there, okay? So now what I want you to do is I want you to do the next one and mix it up with different colors, colors that you haven't used or ones that you have used, but try and put them in a different order, okay? When you look at Kandinsky circles, you can see that none of those colors are laying right on top of each other. They're all separated by colors that are also really interesting. I like this one right here, this dark blue and this red and orange right next to each other. I love that. I think that's so beautiful. So now what I was saying about doing this with paper as well is that first of all, this is our sort of finished Kandinsky. This one's done with markers, this one's done with oil pastels, but you can definitely take your marker one and you can use some really cool oil pastels just to kind of go over and make it a little bit more interesting. Lots of layers of color, and you can see just adding that red around the blue with the yellow, that made that look so much cooler. Check that out. I like these colors together. Okay, so I made this one using all oil pastels, okay? And this one is markers and now oil pastels as well. So that's pretty cool. So when you're all done, this is kind of an idea of maybe what yours is going to look like. But remember, yours is going to look like yours. It's not going to look like mine, and mine is not going to look like Kandinsky's. Okay, but we're working together here and we're exploring some color, and I think that that's so much fun. So as a cutting activity, this is really cool too. I actually have these 3 separate sized containers that I've been using for tracing. And just for color or for cutting, I think if you use these and sort of use your marker and outline them, it kind of gives a really good line so that your kids can practice with the scissors. So you can cut out the circles. You can kind of make a little template here with all these different circles here, and then you can have your child practice cutting them out. And that is very, very cool. So when you do that, you can sort of build a Kandinsky circles thing that sort of looks maybe like this. And this is different layers of paper. This has no marker or anything like that on there, okay? So like I said, there's lots of different ways that you can sort of make this happen, all right, and don't forget the sidewalk chalk, because I think that is what I'm going to do next, because that's going to be really fun. But you can do all of these things together, or you can just do any level of whatever feels good for you. But if you have colored paper and you want to cut it and do it this way, that's fine. If you have oil pastels or crayons and you want to do some freehand circles, that's fantastic too. But I definitely want to challenge you guys to really be trying to listen to those colors, okay? And see if you can make it come out to something that really makes your eyeball kind of tickly in a great way. All right? All right, so when you're all finished, I would like it very much if maybe you guys could post your work in the comments, or maybe you could send a picture of it to me or Miss Kristen or Mrs. Bond, and I would love to see what you guys do and sort of set up our own little virtual gallery of Kandinsky's. So I love you guys. I'll see you next time, okay?